We're hanging out Thursday, June 5th. That is when my brand new comedy special comes out. It will be available free on my YouTube channel. So anyone in the world will have access to it completely free. So just make sure that you are following my YouTube channel. We now in the show notes put a link to this individual episode. So if you want to switch over to audio, if I'm showing videos that you want to see over on the YouTube channel, what I'm playing, we have made it really, really easy. So that link should be in the show notes if we remember. And then you can also follow my YouTube channel while we're there. Just in case any of you are living in the Stone Age, my children would be horrified that I'm even giving this disclaimer, since their minds are like one with the YouTube app. But in case, like, if there are any boomers listening to the show, on YouTube it says subscribe. People say subscribe to my channel. There's no payment. That's just their word for follow. It's free. You can follow whoever you want on YouTube, and it is free. So my channel's free. All the content there is free. So go make sure that you are following it. And we do have a link in the show notes, or just search for my name on YouTube. What we are talking about today is the idea of people having parasocial relationships with content creators or famous people, where they feel like they are entitled to know personal details about these people's lives, and particularly that the public can get kind of fixated on that at times. People are speculating. They're on Twitter saying, I think this happened and I think that happened. And I called their attorney's office and I tried to get info. And listen, when I bugged their house, like I put a microphone in their living room and here's what I found out. And so there's been a lot of criticism of that. And I've noticed, even in myself and people I know, sometimes we kind of only partially jokingly refer to ourselves as stalkers. I think we all, at least with one person, have maybe gone further on Google than we should have. I will tell you this, those places where you can pay $50 and get the details. Yeah. I'm just saying that when the comedy millions come in and $50 is nothing to me, it could get weird. I'm not a stalker. I'm curious. I'm just curious. I'm persecuted now because I'm just curious. Oh, just because I know where that celebrity lives. Like, now I'm a stalker. Like, I'm a curious person. I have a curious mind. And I just like to know more sometimes when someone has impacted my life positively. Yeah, let me tell you, if I could throw around $50 and not even think about it, and I could be sure there was not a paper trail, that this person is not going to get an alert, like, that could be kind of fair. Like, a woman named Jennifer Fulwiler has accessed your social security number, your entire address history, your marriage history, and here's her address, and here's her entire history, because fair is fair. I mean, if I could be sure it were anonymous, there have been moments. I'm not saying it's all the time, but there have been moments with some people I follow where I would like to know more. Let's just put it that way. They have captured my imagination, and I would like to know more details than they have been offering. It's free public information. Come on. Now, people call this being parasocial. This is a term that has caught fire in the past year or so. People have a childlike fascination with this term. They like to throw this around. You guys have a parasocial relationship with this celebrity or whatever. I am here to defend it to some extent. Do people sometimes take this too far? Absolutely. Am I tempted to be one of those people sometimes? Absolutely. But I think it is helpful to all of us to understand the psychological mechanisms that are behind our parasocial relationships. And as someone who should be talking about deep psychological issues, because I'm not only well educated on the subject, but I'm a mental rock myself. Look, I only have to journal 3 hours a day to stay sane, and that's normal behavior and totally fine and not a red flag at all. I've only had like 4 mental breakdowns in the past few years. So I think you should absolutely come to me for all of your psychological needs. I have been talking to ChatGPT a lot about this, so I do. Who are you going to listen to? They have a PhD from Harvard, but they haven't had one conversation with ChatGPT about this stuff. But okay, and so everyone's going to laugh. Oh, Jen thinks she knows because she talks to ChatGPT, but then you'll hear my theory and you'll be like, oh, once again, she's right. She's crazy, but she's right. Like, she's this stand-up comic whose podcast I somehow randomly followed because I was like drinking and it was 3 a.m. and I was on YouTube. Once again, she is more right than professionals who speak on these same issues. I don't know why. It's like I'm inspired by God. I don't know where these great ideas come from, but listen to that. I think it will sound right. The thesis that I am going to put forth on this podcast episode is that we are not wired for these online virtual relationships. When the good Lord put human evolution in motion, originally, we were designed as the human body developed throughout all the tens of thousands, 100,000s of years of human history. We evolved to have these emotional relationships in person. We are not emotionally evolved for the world of having people live in these little squares that we hold in our hands. That's not normal. And in particular, here's what I think is going on when we get kind of fixated on someone. There are certain emotional cycles that are normal to the human mind that help us process highs and lows. Here's what I mean. Let's say you know someone in person. Let's pretend it's 100 years ago. So there's no social media. There's no internet. There's some good old fashioned the crank phone calls and that's it. So it's pretty much you're talking to people only in person. So let's say there is someone that you know. Now think about this. All right, you're living in 1925. All right, how many people would you really know the details of their lives in the sense of like knowing what the interior of their house looks like? Like you could describe their stove from memory. You could, you know what kind of organizers are in their bedroom closets. You know what their child's favorite food is. That would not be the case. In 1925, you probably would have some family living around. You might have sisters or cousins or aunts or uncles that you would be at their house somewhat regularly, but not every day. Certainly not multiple times a day would you be physically inside someone else's home. And if you go back even 10,000 years to a more primitive village, tribal setup, which is really what we're designed for. Even in that case, think about this. If you're the tribal woman, all the women get together and they chat. So there is an in-person intimacy with lots of other women in the tribe, but you wouldn't be in their huts. And okay, we have huts in this village. You wouldn't be in their huts very often. Even 10,000 years ago in the old tribal systems, you wouldn't be able to describe her earthen stove or whatever it is, but like oven, where she put the fire to cook in her hut. You wouldn't be able to describe that from memory necessarily because you'd be, if you weren't out at the water well or washing the clothes or cutting the buffalo apart to have for dinner or like whatever, if you weren't doing that, you were in your own hut. You weren't spending all this time in other people's houses. So if there were someone that you really knew a lot about what their house looks like and what their morning routine is, like what did they do when they first get out of bed? What did their slippers look like? What kind of robe did they wear? If you knew that level of detail about someone, then your brain signals like, well, there's intimacy there. This person. Your cave woman brain is like, oh, that's your best friend. That must be. If that's not your best friend, that might be a spouse. That's who other than your spouse would you ever have that kind of intimacy with in human history? Nobody. Now, because we are, we're deep feeling people and we crave emotional intimacy, there are certain safeguards in the human brain to help us process the difficult things that happen when we're close to people, or the positive things that happen. So let's say this person gets married. Like let's say they've been single, and you're very close to this person. Again, this is years, eons ago. You're close to this woman, and you really care about her because she so wants to get married, and that's been her life's goal, and it's never happened for her, and you're just like so attached to this because she lives in the hut next door, and you love her, and you know her family, and then finally it happens. She meets the right guy. She's getting married. You would be part of that ceremony. Any big life moments, they have ceremonies to help us process them. So there would be a wedding ceremony for you to be part of that. And then if something difficult happened, there would be a funeral. You would be part of that ceremony that helps you process, people would say parasocial. I guess if it's in person, it's not parasocial, but your secondhand happiness or anxiety or joy or grief or whatever. There are in-person mechanisms that are in place when we have intimacy with people in real life. I think the problem is that our cave woman or man brains really feel like we're very intimate with these people, that we know what they look like when they get out of bed, when they're brushing their teeth, and like all this stuff. Or like in my case, like I don't share stuff like that. Because honestly, I'm such a mess. Like somebody would call the cops. If they saw how I live my life, I mean, somebody would stage an intervention. So I can't do content like that. And my kids won't let me put them online because they don't want us to make money and have fun. But I do share the inner workings of my deeply troubled mind. So like I see how people could be like, I really feel like I know Jen, because you do, because I overshare, and it's like it's very true to me, like what I share on this podcast. And again, for most of human history, if you knew someone as well as like you, my podcast listener, know me, it's like she must be someone that you're going down to the water well with in the village every day. This must be a very, very, very close friend. Like if you know, like she's struggling with her alcohol problems again. I mean, like when in human history would you know that unless it's someone you're deeply close to? And so here is where I think our brains fritz out. That our caveman brains are wired to only understand in-person intimacy. And it is expecting certain loops that help us process that intimacy and the emotional risk that comes with it. But because of the nature of the immediacy of online information, we are given this, it's like a heroin hit of intimacy. I mean, even when we had celebrities oversharing in the 70s and the 80s and the 90s, it would be like one article in People magazine that came out once a week. So, maybe you could kind of develop a parasocial feeling like you knew them, but like not really, because it all had to go through these big media gatekeepers. So what social media has done has allowed us to connect with these people every single day, many times, multiple times a day. So your brain is like, this is our literal best friend. Like you'd better make sure this woman is okay because you guys are really good friends. And you're trying to tell your amygdala, you're like, I actually don't know her at all. And but your amygdala is like, go give that woman a hug. And you're like, but I'd get arrested. You don't understand caveman brain. Like it doesn't work like that. But your primal brain is like, no, we have to help her. She's a friend. That is where these parasocial relationships come in. And so that is what we are going to talk about in the main topic. As usual, we get to the main topic at the end of the show, at the second part. And sometimes we're like an hour and 20 minutes in before. It depends on how hot the intro topics are. And we have some hot ones today. So we will return to this topic. I will make you feel better about all of your parasocial relationships. So we will get to that in the second half of the show. And we have, in the first half, Caitlin, have you seen this trend of men calling their friends to say goodnight? I know I sent you this media, but had you seen it before?
No, I've not.
It's maybe the best trend I've ever seen on social media. It's the funniest thing I've ever seen, where women will have their husbands call their guy friends just to say goodnight. And the wide variety of reactions of their guy friends is the funniest thing I've ever seen. I spent more than an hour getting these clips from you guys, because it is guys calling guys in what the second guy thinks is a private conversation. There was so much language to edit out. I opened up my video editing app. I edited out the language by hand so that I can play this on my podcast and keep it. You know, if your kids are around, I think I got all of it. Let's hope. Listen, if you're a kid listening to this with your mom, don't repeat anything you hear in these clips if I missed anything. But I think I got all the language. It took me more than an hour to edit this out. And I did it myself because it's the funniest thing I have ever seen. So we have a show of absolute excellence today. And this is the Jen Fulwiler Show, coming to you from Austin, Texas. This is the podcast where you learn the art of the village hustle. That's being a hot girl boss, or hot boy boss who knows that love and family and community are the foundations of all true success. We publish new episodes every single Wednesday morning, and this podcast is available on YouTube. It is on iTunes. It's on Spotify, wherever you like to follow your podcasts. If you use special one-off apps, it's on those too. Just search for the Jen Fulwiler Show and it will come right up. Caitlin White is our lovely producer, and our Patreon is a lot of fun. I do a Patreon for this show. It is, there are two different levels. Patreon is a service that allows any creator to offer some paid content, some bonus content, so that the super fans can help them not be broke. It's Tim Dillon. We were talking about this in the last episode. He makes $190,000 per month on his Patreon, and that is verified. That's not, he actually tries to keep that under wraps, but that is verified that he makes that much money per month. I'm close. Like if you compare like $1 per month to like a gazillion trillion quadrillion dollars per month, I'm pretty close to Tim on that spectrum. So we're trying to help me, get a little closer to the Tim Dillon levels of monthly Patreon income. But yeah, so Patreon, so they just handle all the payment stuff so that I can do some fun content that helps you support me and my podcast and make me not quit in disgust because I don't make enough money. Patreon.com/thisisjen. And we have new content all the time. And when you join, you get instant access to everything. All the archives, everything is unlocked when you join. Patreon.com/thisisjen. Okay, before we get to the guys calling their friends, I just have to say, I don't think I've already played this clip. I saw this girl talking about how, especially for those of us who can get stuck and we have trouble switching from one task to the next, the idea of doing a change of wardrobe, I think, is such a smart idea. So this creator's name is ADHD Crystal, and that's Crystal, Christal. ADHD Crystal has a great idea. Listen to this, and again, you can see the video on my YouTube channel as well.
Have you ever noticed that when you change your outfit or you put your makeup on, that your entire mindset changes? This is called enclothed cognition. This is day 19 of ADHD Girl Hacks. Enclothed cognition is the idea that what you wear actually changes the way you think, feel, and act. And this is huge for people with ADHD because we struggle with transition. A costume change acts as a shortcut and signals to your brain that it's time to do something else. Examples: if I don't feel like going to the gym, I just put gym clothes on. If I'm kind of on the fence about socializing, I put my makeup on, a cute outfit, and then suddenly I'm in people mode. When I get home and my brain is still ruminating on work, I change it to my cozy clothes, and then suddenly I'm in cozy mode. Having different uniforms makes it a lot easier for us to have control over a day and switch to which modes we want to be in. Let me know if you have go-to uniforms.
I love that idea. Now, I would,
Girl hacks.
when you have a brain like this, I mean, you're going to lose half your clothes, or they're not clean, or it's like it's hung up and it looks right. And it's like, where did that stain come from? Why didn't I put this in the wash? But I like the idea. And I'll tell you, when I have my 10 full-time staff members that I need and deserve, I will have, like, my wardrobe person, I will say, listen, I want different uniforms. So this is like, here's my dress up uniform. And then please also lay out my casual uniform. Please lay out my podcast uniform. I really think this is smart. And for those of you who can deal with life, I think you should try this. And I will say, I have, when I am stuck, a lot of times if I am just, have not even brushed my hair, no makeup on, wearing a slob outfit, if I set a timer or just watch it, like, if I tell myself, okay, 20 minutes, I'm going to spend 20 minutes fixing this situation that I am seeing in the mirror, and like putting on something like I have on right now, just not even fancy, but just some makeup, brush my hair, an outfit that I feel good about the way I look in. It's fine. It's nothing special. I will say it does help me get unstuck. And by the way, as a tangent alert, sock curls can be. So I was do you remember what episode I was talking about sock curls? It was like 2 or 3 episodes ago.
Yeah.
So I've still been doing this, where you wrap your hair up in an actual sock. But actually, before this very episode, so this episode, we are late getting started on this episode because I texted Caitlin, pull up this picture. I put my hair in sock curls for this episode. That's an actual picture of me. Again, you can click in the show notes. It'll take you directly to this episode on YouTube, episode 256. Yeah, it's a little bit like Dee Snider from, I forget which band he was in, but one of these metal bands. Like it's a little bit like Kiss. Yeah, it's not, I wouldn't say these sock curls. That was me 40 minutes ago. And my hair is a little wild in this current episode. You might notice it looks a little wild. This what you see now is after I brushed out these sock curls. But when the influencers do it, that picture's a little immodest, but I think it's fine, guys, whatever. I cropped it well. Okay, whatever. So the point is, sock curls can be a good way to just like do it, not how I do it, but like the influencers do it, and you're going to have some nice wave in your hair and wake up with your hair feeling nice. So try out sock curls as a way to just kind of elevate the way that you feel about yourself. And so this came into play. I was thinking about this the other day because I didn't tell the story of what happened at the bank on here. Did I? Does this sound familiar? I was arguing with the bank, and so I went in and looked all classy. I didn't say that here. Okay. I don't want to repeat content here on the podcast, but I talked about it on Instagram stories, but yeah, I don't think I did it here. Okay. So I was arguing with my bank about something. So I went in person and tried to look very classy. I did the blazer. I did pearls because I was trying to intimidate them. And I was kind of this vibe of like, you don't know who you're dealing with. I am wearing pearls. And just because they're $3 on Amazon does not mean that you should not be intimidated by it. This is my best jacket from Shein. Okay. And I think I was doing a good job of looking like a real person. And then they said, Mrs. Fulwiler, what do you do for a living? Ooh, that is where you don't want to say stand-up comic. That, it messes up the vibe. So I said entertainer. What I gathered from their facial expressions is that too many women in this day and age have an OnlyFans for a woman to be going around saying she is an entertainer. That definitely, I did have to correct myself and be like, okay, no, stand-up comic, like not what, because they were kind of looking me up and down like, entertainer, really? No, a stand-up comic. So that's, the day and age of a woman being able to say, I'm a professional entertainer. I think it's over is what I learned. But I will say, before all that came out, like if I had said I was an accountant or something, I think they would have been like, oh, this is a serious person who we had better not mess with, because I had on the blazer and I did this kind of like a darker lipstick. Let me tell you, you wear a blazer and a bright red or a bright pink lipstick and just put on some little bit of mascara and get some $3 pearls on Amazon, I'm telling you, people will be like, you know what? We're not going to keep stealing your money. Here, we'll just, it's fine. You can have it back. So just something to think about. All right. So, but let's move on to the topic that I really, really want to talk about. There is a trend where men are calling their guy friends to say good night, just to be like good night. And I was thinking, okay, it would definitely play differently for women. Caitlin, if I were to have done that with you, if I were to have called you, 10 p.m. like, hey, Caitlin, just calling to say night night, sweet dreams. Like, what would you like? How would you react?
I'd be like, are you okay?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Well, okay. And then I was thinking too, vice versa. If Caitlin called me like, hey, what's up? Just calling to say goodnight. So the way my ADHD brain works is I'd be like, oh, there's something I forgot about here.
Yep.
Like we probably made a plan. I probably committed that we're going to do this every night. And so, you know what's funny? If you'd done that prank with me, it would have gotten really weird because my brain would be thinking, oh, I bet I signed up for this and I just forgot. So I'd be like, oh, yes. It's funny. I was just going to call you to say the same thing. Night, night. I hope you're tucked in cozy. Sweet dreams. And then it would be this like reverse Uno card where Caitlin she'd feel like she's the one being pranked. Like, wait, why did Jen get so into this so quickly? Like that could have been kind of great, actually. But this is the one that Caitlin's about to play. The one that is, I called it original in the setup. This is the first one I saw. A fair amount of language. I think I got it all, but it's so funny. This dude calling it. Just listen to how his friend reacts.
Yeah, bro, what you got going?
I'm literally just trying to get this temperature stuff going on with Ken.
Oh.
Trying to bring her temperature down. Why was that?
No, I'll just call and tell you good night, bro. Sweet dreams. Hello?
What?
Hello?
Yeah, what do you mean, good night?
I'm about to lay down, bro. I'm about to get in the bed. I just want to call and tell you good night, bro. Sweet dreams.
Yeah, but why the hell why are you telling me good night?
I hope you sleep tight, bro.
What?
All right, bro. I'm gonna talk to you tomorrow, man. Sweet dreams.
What do you have going? What sweet dreams? What's going on? Are you good?
Yeah, bro. I can't wish that you sleep good tonight, bro.
When in the hell have you ever wished it? Why?
All right, bro. I'm gonna sleep tight, so I'm gonna holler at you. All right, bro. All right.
Don't call my phone doing this, man. What you mean you gonna sleep tight? Don't. You know what? Where's the red button on this? How do I?
So that creator is beefing with the blacks. That is their handle on Instagram, on TikTok. They do a bunch of funny content. Okay, the next one. Let's see. The next one is if my husband were to have called one of his friends. Keep in mind, my husband was a frat boy in college. He has a bit of a frat boy personality, has friends with frat boy personalities. So if my husband had called his friends, this next clip, it's the one, Caitlin, I called it party. Yeah, this next clip is how it would go if my husband had called his friends.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm about to,
What's up, boy?
hey, I'm about to go to bed. I was just calling to tell you good night.
You're about to go to bed?
Yeah, I was just calling to tell you good night.
Well, night, sleep tight.
Sweet dreams.
Sweet dreams. What are you calling for?
That's it.
Swill and thrill.
Yeah.
Swill and thrill. I'm not going to bed. I'm staying up. What are you doing?
I'm calling you to tell you good night and that sweet dreams.
Well, time to wake up. Like you're talking to me now.
I'm about to go to bed.
Well, too bad. Sorry. You should have called.
Okay, if Caitlin had done this prank on me when I were drinking, that is what
Yeah.
that's also what it would have sounded like with me. That is so awesome. Do the one where he calls. This is a different guy, and leave a comment on YouTube. Tell me what accent this is. I think it's Australian, but it might be British. And tell me, Caitlin, if you know. This is a guy calling his brother.
Hello?
Hey.
Hello?
Hey.
Hey.
Just call and say goodnight.
What are you doing, Benj?
Saying goodnight.
Why are you calling me, Benj? To say goodnight.
Just saying goodnight, Sam. Think I'm going to sleep. Just wanted to say hope you have good dreams.
If you ever do this again, Benj, one of ours, I'll punch you in the face when I walk into the office.
Alright, Sam. I won't do it again. Love you.
What? What's going on?
So okay, by the way, that content creator who posted that one is Camille_Monday with a U. And then the party guy one was Miranda Faye 01. These are all, I think they're all TikTok, I'm pretty sure. I demand, I think our priority as a world is that men from every culture do this, because it is so revealing about different cultures and subcultures. Like I was trying to think, for my friends who are immigrants from India, like that would just be a totally different vibe than my friends who are immigrants from Korea would be a slightly different vibe. And I haven't seen anyone from Mexico doing this. And I'm just trying to think, like, how would that play given their cultural standards? So I need everyone to do it. I mean, imagine like a Canadian doing this versus someone from Mexico doing this. I mean, it everything you need to know about men and how men perceive themselves in the particular subculture that any of these guys are in, you will learn from these videos. Okay, so Jake Paul got in on it, and he called Lil Yachty, who obviously you all know since we're hip hop fans here on the podcast. Lil Yachty is in the hip hop world. His reaction is not the most politically correct, as he speculates what kind of gentleman calls another man to say goodnight. But he is from the hip hop world, and it educates us from an anthropological perspective. It educates us on different mores of different groups of people. So we can hear how people who are hip hop stars in the hip hop world might react to a grown man telling them goodnight.
Yo, what up, bro?
What up, Jake?
Just chilling, man. How about you?
I'm chilling. I'm at London right now. I'm cooling. What's the word, my brother?
No, I just wanted to wish you good night.
What? What you mean?
No, I just was like hope you sleep well.
What kind of shit is that?
Oh, nothing, bro. I was just checking in and all that.
Nah, that's borderline. Yeah,
I bleeped the word.
I'm not a straight person, but I'm pretty sure.
Oh no, my bad, bro. My bad on that.
No, I think it's cool. I mean, I guess good night.
Good night, bro.
Yes, I don't know.
Like he's like, I'll have to check with another straight person, but I'm pretty sure that. So we're learning a lot about this subculture of masculinity. Like Lil Yachty said what I think a lot of the other guys were thinking. It's so funny. By the way, okay, tangent alert. Hit the tangent alert sound effect. I am so jealous of the smooth way that all of these men can communicate with each other on the phone. I'm not kidding. I watched the Jake Paul Lil Yachty clip so many times because of the lack of stress in that initial interaction. Because as soon as I answer the phone, I am in panic mode because I don't know what people expect of me and what I'm supposed to be doing on this phone call. It really stresses me out. The other thing is I don't have terms of endearment and colloquialisms that other people have, and I'm very jealous of it. When so I'll replay the beginning in a second, but Jake Paul says, one of them says like, oh, so Jake Paul has just called him, and Lil Yachty doesn't know why. Now, see, that's where I go into fight or flight. That's where I start having symptoms of funds, fired up nervous system. It all just feels very high stakes and panic to me. So I'd probably start just chattering manically. Like if Caitlin called me and I didn't know why, it's like, I love Caitlin. I'd be happy to hear from her, but phone calls stress me out and I'd feel like there's something I don't know and I don't know what the expectations on me. So I would just probably start chattering about nonsense randomly because I was so nervous. But instead, little Yachty's like, what's the word? And I want to, and then and all these guys are like calling each other brother, like, hey brother, what's going on? I want to use terms of endearment like that in my life. What do women like? I'm going to start calling you what? Like, is it women don't tend to say sister? Is it like girl or
sup girl? I don't know. Every time
girl?
I call somebody, I'm always like, sup dog.
Okay, we can do that. Hey, listen, don't feel like you can't do that just because you're white. Like that, I think I give you permission. I'm a hip hop fan, so I can. So yeah, I'm okay. Let's just listen to the beginning of Jake Paul's conversation with Lil Yachty, and I want to be chilled out like this on the phone too. Okay, listen, it's amazing to me.
Yo, what up, bro?
What up, Jake?
Just chilling, man. How about you?
I'm chilling. I'm at London right now. I'm cooling. What's the word, my brother?
No, I just wanted to wish you good night.
Okay, you can pause it. But just he's not stressed about receiving a phone call. He's like, I'm just cooling. Yeah, I'm just chilling. What's the word? Listen, I so aspire to have this level of calm when I receive an incoming phone call in my life. I'm not this relaxed with my husband. I mean, like with nobody. I think that's one of the reasons that these videos captured my imagination so much, is that all of these men are so relaxed in that initial conversation. Just like, hey brother, what's up? Hey, yeah, what's good? They're so calm. It's amazing to me. And they have a lexicon for human interaction that they both mutually understand. The expectations are understood of what this communication should entail and what a successful conversation of this nature would look like, and what terms of endearment are acceptable and not acceptable. And that's really what they're playing with there too, is that, saying what's good, brother, calling people brother, that's okay. Telling them sweet dreams that's not part of the lexicon that is okay for expressing this kind of intimacy. Yeah, should I get diagnosed with whatever is wrong with me? We're working. I don't have time to get the inpatient psychiatric care that I need, because this is where my mind goes when I see people having very normal phone conversations. Okay, let's watch Jake Paul calls Machine Gun Kelly. And at first, I thought this one might have been staged because Machine Gun Kelly mentions he has a new project. But the way he reacts at the end, I was like, I think this might be legit, actually. Listen to this. Is this Jake Paul pranking Machine Gun Kelly with the goodnight prank?
Dog,
What up, bro?
just with my baby, my Megan, chilling.
Amazing, bro. I just wanted to wish you a good night.
Oh, dude, thank you, man. It's a big night for me, bro. I'm releasing this joint, dude. I'm stoked.
Let's go. Go crazy, man.
I'm on it, bro. I appreciate that, dude. That just made my night, dude, for real.
Love you, bro. Much love.
All right. Love you, dog.
All right. Peace.
That's so sweet. He was like, oh, that made my night. For real. That's so sweet. And also, you know how he said, I'm releasing this thing? And Jake Paul just casually said, let's go. I need a class on how to be chill like that, because if someone had said that to me, I would have started, again, like speaking too quickly in my desire to convey to them that I have heard them and I am excited about their new music project. I would have just blah, 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 blah. And I know you've worked so hard on that. And I would, hey, do you have an email list? You should get an email list, because I think the email is like really kind of the way that you can get people to engage with it. Instead of saying, let's go. Listen, it's going to be a new me. I'm going to reinvent myself this summer, and I am going to understand how to communicate with other people. And I'm going to be so chill. You don't even understand. Caitlin, she'll like secretly record calling me. I'll be like, Caitlin, what's up? And she'll tell me some great news, and I'll be like, Yeah, let's go. And it'll be like, wow, who's the chillest person you know? It's Jen Fulwiler. Like, she is just so relaxed in every in every social engagement, and it'll ruin the podcast too. I don't think you can have a podcast like this if you have because imagine someone who's that chill, coming on this podcast like, what's good, guys? I think everything's pretty good. What do you think, brothers? I don't know. It's chill. Let's go. And then that's the episode. It's like five seconds, but no, that's going to be the new meet. It's summer makeover. Whoa. See, I'm hitting the mic, proving my point. Okay, listen, guys, get on the Patreon so that I can afford whatever medication it is that will fix this. Patreon.com/thisisjen. It's a lot of fun, and we'll do a Patreon live again soon as well. And as soon as you join, you get access to the previous Patreon lives that we have done. Speaking of my brain not working the right way, especially if you look up, it's called State of the Dumpster Fire is the category of the live events we did. The ones there was basically from fall 2024, any that were August, September, October, November, December. Oh yeah, December was super chaotic. So yeah, any of the lives from 2024 and then a couple in January and I think February of this year, so chaotic. I mean, like at one point there was a priest there and I was trying to get a blessing, but we're like dropping things and we have 10 kids running around. It was amazing. So instant access to all of that. Patreon.com/thisisjen. Okay. For our parasocial relationships, I have a good example of when we get maybe a little too attached to people we do not actually know and why this happens. And I think understanding these mechanisms are an important survival skill for being a modern person. Obviously, that is a big theme of this podcast, that we're living in a world that our cavewoman brains were not designed for. And thank God, because none of us would be alive. I mean, anyone over the age of 25 would not be alive, and we'd all have my arm was ripped off by a jaguar and I barely survived. So I'm not in any way glorifying what human history has been like at any point in history, but it does cause us some psychological stress that is helpful for us to understand where these stressors come from, because you guys are so sweet. You tend to blame yourselves. You very easily go into the thinking of, I'm doing this weird thing, or I'm a little bit too obsessed with this one celebrity or whatever. So therefore I'm weird. Therefore I must be a bad person. And I'm here to tell you, most of the time, especially with you guys, well, you might be weird if you like this podcast, but you're not a bad person. And it is your primal brain just not knowing what on earth it's supposed to be doing in this modern world. So I think there are a couple good examples of large scale freakouts about people with public presences. And these are a couple years past, so it's easy to talk about because most people have moved on from them. Rachel Hollis was one of them. Before she crashed and burned, okay, full disclosure, she unfollowed me on Instagram. So if you hear a little bias in my voice, so she had, let's see, when did all this, okay, she hit it big in 2018. Oh, right. Because we had books that came out at the same time. When her famous book, Girl, Wash Your Face, came out, that's when my book, One Beautiful Dream, came out. One of those books sold 100x more than the others. We don't need to go into which one was which. But so she had this huge platform. And one of the big things was that she gave people a lot of intimacy into her life. She did bring her kids into it. Everybody knew her kids very well, in particular her daughter Noah, who came to them from adoption. And then they had 3 bio kids. So she had 4 kids. And she really brought Noah into it quite a bit. Everybody felt like they knew Noah, and we brought, Noah's favorite snack and all that. And then she would bring us into her home. But the big thing was she brought us into her marriage with her husband, Dave, and they sold really high-end, expensive marriage retreats where people could learn to have a great marriage like they did. And I think what triggers our, parasocial stress is really kind of in a perfect nutshell with the Rachel Hollis situation. So I will never forget this because I still followed her at the time, because I had not realized that she unfollowed me. This was early 2020. I remember it so well. Okay, it was, and I think these dates are even right. I'm saying this off the top of my head, but I think these dates are right. In March, I'm sure it was March, because quarantine had just started. And she posted a selfie with her and her husband, Dave. And she was like, you know what we like to do during quarantine? We like to make out. We like to make out and have a little bit of romance. And she brought us into some details about how their marriage is so great and thriving even during quarantine. That was a difficult time in my life. I had a lot going on. And so that post really stood out to me of like, wow, well, somebody's life is perfect. That's okay. Well, not all of us are having, moments like that in our households. Some of us are very stressed out. Some of us have lost all of our income. Like it really stood out to me. Like, I actually wasn't bitter or jealous in that, but it was just like, wow, okay, so your marriage is perfect. That's amazing. It was not even 8 weeks later. I think it was maybe like 6 weeks later, 5 weeks later. It was right after that. She just goes on Instagram and says, hey, I'm getting a divorce. Please respect my privacy during this time. Oh. And like, she didn't even take down the put. I might have archived the, we make out all the time. I might have archived that one. Let's just pretend that didn't happen. And just didn't bring us in. There was no explanation. There was none. It was just, we're getting a divorce. And then like they had an app where they were like exercising on the app, and he was exercising on the app even after their divorce, but looked so miserable. It was crazy. And so this marriage just ended, but she did the whole like, we need privacy thing, which is understandable. They have kids, don't want to air your dirty laundry, but this is the cycle thing. Our primal brains are not used to having an intimacy experience that goes on and off so quickly, meaning you get intimacy when times are good, like, oh, here's their morning routine, here are Rachel's favorite slippers that she wears in the morning when she's making her bulletproof coffee, and oh, Dave is coming in and making a joke, oh, there's Noah, she wants her carrots, right? Yeah, that's Noah's favorite snack, that's what they're getting for Noah. And then it's like, wait, their family's totally falling apart, wait, they're moving, like, whoa, what? And we get no explanation. Our brains aren't wired for that because, again, let's take not even that far back in human history, 100 years ago, 1925. If you knew someone well enough to know the names of their children, to know their children's favorite snacks, to know exactly what most rooms in their house look like you could draw the layout of their house from memory, to know the details of their marriage, to know what days of the week they like to make out. If you knew someone at that level of intimacy in 1925, if they had something shocking happen to them, like they get this divorce, you would have closure because you would continue to know that person. They're obviously a really good friend if you're in their house that much. And so they would tell you, they'd be like, oh, this, and then he did this, or you'd hear rumors, oh, she did that. But to just have nothing, like that cycle is not completed in your mind, and your brain is screaming like, wait, what? This is very unnatural. Same thing. There was, well-known influencer Jen Hatmaker, kind of a similar thing. She had just posted an anniversary picture of her and her husband, like, you're the best, you're my rock, 20-something years of marriage, like, this is amazing. Like a month later, we're getting divorced after their marriage had been a real centerpiece of her public presence. And she indicated that it was on his end, he did something, but then no details, nothing else. And there was no catharsis for people who followed either one of these women. There was no like getting together and weep with them or getting more information. It's just we were cut off when the difficult thing happened. And again, I want to be very clear. I'm not criticizing them for cutting people off. It would be very weird, satisfying, but weird if they were to like, I'd watch, they could do $1,000 a month Patreon to sign me up. But they shouldn't because they had kids and they did the right thing. So I want to be clear. I am not criticizing them for not airing their dirty laundry, as frustrating as that might be to me. But what I am saying is it is unnatural to experience that level of intimacy with someone and not be part of the full cycle of intimacy in which when something really great or really difficult happens to them, that you can experience it with them and you can get catharsis with them and you can get closure with them. Probably the best example of this is like Parasocial Supernova. Hang on, I have notes. I'm putting on my glasses. I'm taking this so seriously. I have notes. So let's see. Okay, so I think maybe the biggest one is Caitlin. How familiar do you think my listeners are with what happened with John Mulaney a few years ago?
That's hit or miss, really.
Okay, then I'm excited actually because I'm going to introduce you to this whole situation. I mean, it's not good. It's not like positive, but it is an interesting thing that happened. He is a public figure, so even though I feel extremely bad for someone involved in this story. Okay, John Mulaney is a former SNL cast member and arguably, he's definitely in the top 5 most famous stand-up comics. I mean, it's like Gaffigan, Seinfeld, Chappelle, Mulaney. I mean, he is up there. Very, very famous. And one of the things that distinguished Mulaney somewhat from other comics is when you watch his older stand-up specials, he really brought us into his life in a little bit more of an intimate way than many other stand-up comics do. For example, Gaffigan would talk about he has 5 kids and it's crazy and his wife is a Shiite Catholic and all that. But his comedy, it's excellent. It's really good, but it is very stylized. Like you know that this is a stand-up comedy routine from a professional. He is playing a character. And so there is, I don't know, it's like watching a sitcom or something. Like you're very clear that you are watching a character. And then someone like Seinfeld does a lot of observational humor. Like, why is it that at the restaurants they give you the bread? Like he's not as much talking about his personal life. And then same thing with Dave Chappelle. He's skewering popular culture. People are crazy. People do this and that. And so it's actually somewhat unusual to have someone that famous in stand-up comedy who you really feel like from their material, you kind of know them. And when you follow their stand-up, you sort of feel like, oh, I'm kind of a part of his family here. I mean, because he's really shared a lot with us. So one of the things that his early fans, or really just he was super famous at this time, like 2016, 17, 18, 19, around that time, is he talked a lot about his marriage with his wife, Anna. So he talked a lot about her and a lot about their marriage, and in particular about how they had decided not to have kids. That was just a thing. And I can't remember if early on he alluded to the fact that he did struggle with substance abuse. I can't remember. Do you know, did he talk about that before everything fell apart?
I don't think so. He did have a special where he kind of came out to all of that, but
that was after.
Yeah.
So he did. John Mulaney didn't exactly try to hide it. It was sort of an open secret that he had some substance abuse issues, but he didn't go into it a lot. But I think it was kind of out there that he struggled a little bit, and so he painted his wife as kind of this long-suffering figure, who put up with him and really kind of helped him keep things together. And so there was a lot of material about him and his wife. And again, they've mutually decided not to have kids, blah, blah, blah. So then he crashes out. gets on coke, just a lot of it, like snow skiing, just it's, just a whole lot of it. Crashes out. Finally, some of his friends have an intervention. He is flown off to rehab, like an inpatient, like across the country. I think after the intervention, it was like, get on a plane, you're going right now to rehab. Now, here's where, okay, now the speculation, here's where some speculation comes in. It is speculated, not proven, but speculated, that shortly after he got out of rehab but was still married is when he met a woman, an actress, Olivia Munn. Had you heard of her before the John Mulaney stuff? See, the facial expression. Yeah, that's my opinion too, Caitlin.
I don't know what it is. Well, I know what it is, but
yeah, should we?
No,
yeah,
nope.
She's a homewrecker. I mean, is it that?
Before that, though.
Yeah. Okay. So So he meets Olivia Munn, and long story short, he leaves his wife of quite a few years. I forget, but they'd been together a long time. He talked about her all the time. He not only leaves his wife for Olivia Munn, and there was a lot of speculation that things with Olivia started while he was still married to Anna, but and then he has a kid. I think they just had their second kid. He has a kid with Olivia, and yeah, did you know that?
Nope, did not know that.
Yeah. So 2 kids. Now I'm almost positive they definitely. Yeah. No. They have 2 kids. Whew. So Anna Marie Tendler, the wife. Oh, and here's the other thing. She stuck with him during the worst of his addiction issues. Like, she was there, she was his rock. And then finally he kicks it and he leaves the wife, Anna Marie Tendler. So she said, Anna was interviewed about this. And she said, everything that has transpired has been totally shocking and I think surreal. In a way, I feel like it can only go up from here because I have reached the depth of where I could go. And she openly said that when he left her, it got so bad she had suicidal ideation because it was that bad. Because the other thing, that women think about is when he left her, she was 36, and you think about fertility and all that, like. She's a better woman than I am. Mm-hmm. She's a better woman because if I were in a relationship where, my husband was, I'm sure it was her idea too, but like, yeah, let's not have kids. We're both on that. And then he leaves you, possibly cheats on you and has kids with another woman. I'd be on the news. Mm-hmm. She's a better woman than I am. And by the way, she wrote a memoir and good for her, Caitlin. Good for her. She took the high road. Yeah. She didn't mention him at all.
Really?
She talked about her struggles with depression. Oh, and the dog that got her through. She's always said her dog Petunia is what kept her clinging to life during this devastating time. And then the dog passed away.
Oh, no.
No. The dog passed away right around the time that John had this kid with Olivia Munn. Especially if I did not have children whose reputations I needed to protect. There is no way I can describe to you how inappropriate that memoir would be.
Oh, yeah.
It would be self-published. It would be self-published because I wouldn't want any gatekeepers telling me like, that's illegal. Like, you can't make threats like that. Like, you can't say that about you can't post that picture or that text screenshot. It would be self-published. And probably on like, one of those Russian websites. So like Amazon can't even take it down. Like, I know I broke 7 laws with the material that I put in this memoir, but it's coming, it's all coming out. Like, I don't have kids because of this man. It's all coming out because I don't have anyone's reputation that I need to protect. Okay. Oh, get this. Hang on. Glasses coming back
done.
on.
Oh,
listen, do you know the history with Olivia Munn?
A little bit.
Okay. Listen to this. In Huffington Post, she was interviewed by HuffPo in 2015. Excuse me, get my glasses up here. She talks about meeting John Mulaney, and she says, and he was just a celebrity to her. She was a lower level actress, and she was absolutely starstruck. So this is 2015. when Anna was his fiance at the time. So they were about to get married. He was very famous. This is years and years before anything happened. So Olivia said in Huffington Post, she said of meeting John Mulaney, at first it was cool. And then I kept going up to him at the wedding. They were at a mutual friend's wedding. I kept going up to him at the wedding like, so you having fun? I was just obsessed with hanging out and talking to him. And then she tried to email him to follow up and continue their connection, but she didn't get a reply. That was 2015. And then it was 2021 when he was just out of rehab, and she coincidentally ran into him, and things, suddenly they have a kid. Oh, that's crazy. And they weren't married yet when they had the kid. I'm not going to speculate. I'm just stating facts. I'm not going to speculate about, nope. Not.
I am.
There was now if my mother-in-law were still with us, she'd be like, she trapped that man, but we don't use that kind of language on this podcast. So I'm just telling you what my mother-in-law would have said. Now, I'm being an example of having a parasocial relationship with someone. This is exactly what people are talking about. Do you know the heights I would go to find out more details? See, when the Comedy Millions come in, and I'm very famous, I will have my people contact Anna Marie Tendler. And I will be like, tell me everything. Like, I want to know everything. I just have to know everything. So this is what it means to be parasocial. Now, here is why we do things like this, because again, everybody felt a connection. Anyone who watched John's old specials or saw saw his interviews, same thing with Rachel Hollis and Jen Hatmaker and these people. It's like you feel a real sense of intimacy. And people online who criticize parasocial people will sometimes say, look, this is so dumb. You don't know these people at all. I mean, I know what their kid's favorite snack is. Like, you can't tell me that I don't know them at all. I mean, again, for people who follow this podcast, you do know me. You absolutely, you actually know me pretty well. Certain friends and family members do not listen to this podcast. And I would argue, and I'm not even kidding, that if you regularly listen to this podcast, I would argue that you understand me better than certain relatives of mine who do not bless themselves with this podcast every week. So as a person who's been on the other end of that, when people meet me and they're like, Jen, I feel like I know you. I'm like, well, because you do. And so I always find it weird when people are like, like when the Rachel Hollis thing was going down, that people are like, you didn't know her at all. Why do you? It's like, I know what her favorite slippers are in the morning. I know what time she gets up in the morning. I know what her favorite granola is that she puts on. That you can't tell me that I don't know her. I do have a fair level of intimacy with this person. Now, and here's where our brains fritz out, that no, it's not the same as if they were literally a next door neighbor. But our primal brains are triggered into intimacy mode. And I would suggest that it is people who are actually great with in-person relationships. And I would suggest that it is actually people who are very emotionally healthy, well-developed people who tend to go into this parasocial territory because we are open to those intimacy mechanisms. We care. If there's, I remember at one point Rachel Hollis was, I can't remember what it was. Let's say it was a plumbing problem or something. She's bringing us into that. They don't know what to do. They can't fix it, and it's really causing a problem. I'm in, man. I'm like, listen, we live in the same area. I'll send over a good Austin plumber. And it's because I genuinely care about people. I like helping them solve problems that I started to have these parasocial thoughts of I gotta get a plumber over there. And like what with Bristol Palin, when her face was that got real parasocial. That Bristol Palin, for those of you guys who if you're new, you should really catch up on the episodes from January. Just look at them on YouTube. It's the ones where I'm wearing an eye patch. So half of her face was paralyzed. And again, because I'm not a sociopath, because I actually genuinely care about people, I got maybe a little too obsessed with Bristol Palin and her face being paralyzed, and the fact that I had no way of contacting her to tell her about my doctor who fixed this for me. It's not because I'm weird. It's not totally because I'm weird. It's a little bit because I'm weird, but it's because I care. That's the point that I would like to make, is that for people who are open to real intimacy with other human beings, we really need these built-in mechanisms that human society has always had for processing this huge amount that we care. And again, if you were living in 1925 in your small town and your best friend was just down the street in your little small town, first of all, you guys would go to the same church. Everybody walks to the church at the end of the street, and everybody gathers together after church and catches up, and maybe you guys do some housework together or something. You talk over the white picket fence like housewives would do. Or again, taking it back even further in human history, the women would do all of their daily work together. And so you would have this continued intimacy. So for the woman 10,000 years ago, you're washing the clothes together down at the river, and if one of the women in your village, who you know very well, says, I'm having this issue, my kid keeps getting sick and I don't know why. Well, you are hearing about an intimate problem, but you can be part of the solution. And then that is cathartic for you, that you can at least suggest, oh, have you tried this herb works for my cousin or whatever. And then that's cathartic, that you feel like you have been able to take tangible action to help this person. And we need that. We need that psychologically. It's like how, like when I had the pulmonary embolisms, I had all of these people bringing us food, even after, like, we'd made it really clear, like we're good on food. We are so good on food. But it was a very sweet thing where a lot of my friends, they also were very irresponsible with family planning and just had all these kids and were broke. And it was such a beautiful kindness that, yes, our freezers were absolutely full. We had food like coming out of our ears. Like I had to give food to my mom and to my mother-in-law. But I recognized what it was. They couldn't afford to just, write me a big check or buy us a new car or something. But really, like, for their own psychological well-being, they were so just grieved for me and stressed out by what I was going through, and that I was pregnant and the potential impact on the baby, that for their own psychological well-being, they had to do something. And so I started to let people bring me these meals. I'd let them know we don't technically need it, but if you want to bring us a meal, you are welcome to. And they did. And it was cathartic for them. It helped them process the secondhand tragedy of what had happened to my family. And that is what we're missing with people who we follow online, that we have legit intimacy with them. And it is legitimate. We know a lot of details about their lives, but we don't have that catharsis of actually being at the wedding when they finally get married. We've been so worried for them that, they'd never find their person, and now they found it. And then they don't even post about the wedding because like, that's private to us. It's like, oh my gosh, are you kidding me? Do you know how many nights I have lain awake at night stressed out that like you're not going to find your person? And it's just we need these emotional loops to be closed through the things that you would normally get in person. And when they are not, when the person has a big moment, whether it's a big sad moment or a big happy moment, or just a big confusing moment, like Olivia Munn, what? Like we desperately desire, and our brains expect that closure, the loop to be closed, that you get the information that makes it make sense, or you can be part of it. You can bring a gift to the wedding to help you close the emotional loop of all the time you worried about this person, or you can, show up and do something really helpful at the funeral, or you can bring a meal to the person there's cancer in their family or something. So I think that is why we can sometimes fixate on people we don't know, because it's like hearing a song you're really into and it's like hitting so hard, and then someone cuts it off like right when it's getting to that crescendo that's just going to send you into the stratosphere. It's like then you kind of get the song stuck in your head and it feels incomplete. You didn't get that closure of hearing the song all the way to its completion. And the same thing can happen emotionally. So I think that is why we see a lot of quote unquote parasocial behavior. I think it's why every single one of us, especially females, there are actually probably some men who, like my husband, literally has never experienced this. Like he's never like taken the Google searches a little too far for somebody he follows. But for women, I really think every single one of us have experienced it. And I don't think it's a sign that you're weird. I think it's a sign that you are open to real emotional connection with people, and your very normal human brain expects there to be cycles that come to natural conclusions and have catharsis and closure when big moments happen. And when you don't get that, it makes total sense that your brain would fritz out. So I hope everyone who has ever looked at my house on Google Street View feels better about that. I don't think you're weird, honestly. I think it's totally normal. If you feel like you know me, you do. You know me better than my just very unfortunate relatives who do not listen to this podcast. Comedy special, June 5th. And we will be back next week here on the Jen Fulwiler Show.